Hey, how's it going? So, hey, you broke your quad, right? You, or carbon fiber vehicle, whatever carbon fiber it is. And you see you got a nice tear there, and you gotta wait for parts to come from whatever, Banggood or LA, and they're not gonna come for another month, and you wanna fly your drone, right? So you're gonna need a way to fix the carbon fiber. In the meantime, I mean, I will say it's not a permanent fix. It could break again, but it's a pretty good way to fix carbon fiber. What you're gonna need is your carbon fiber part that's broken, of course, some rubbing alcohol, and you can get these at Harbor Freight. They come in a pack. They look just like that. It's called epoxy, quick setting epoxy, right? It's pretty generic. You can get it at any cheap Harbor Freight, or you can get it at Home Depot or Lowe's, and it's like a squirt tube that has the two part mix, and it mixes them. But in any case, I'm going to show you how to do it, how to do it the right way, I guess. The best way, I think, that is the way to do it. But I guess you're going to need a paper towel as well, or some kind of rag or something. And you take your isopropyl alcohol and you wet your rag. You don't drench it like that, but you wet your rag and you wipe the piece that you're gonna epoxy, right? I'm gonna get a different rag. So you wipe down the piece you're gonna epoxy, and what that does is it just removes all the dirt and just makes a nice surface. You can actually sometimes take a metal or knife or something and kind of scratch it up a little bit and get some surface area that epoxy is going to stick to, right? And if you see on carbon fiber here, and actually before I get too deep into it, carbon fiber, the dust that comes off of carbon fiber is dangerous, so you want to use caution when you're working with it. It's probably good to wear a mask. Luckily, there's a lot of face masks around nowadays, so you can get, you can wear a mask pretty easily. There's no excuse for not wearing a mask. This dust is like carbon. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's man-made, or I mean, carbon's a base element, but in any case, it's bad to breathe. You don't want to breathe this stuff in. It gets like dust. It's almost like asbestos dust. It's just bad. Yeah. One way to work with it is to wet it and keep it wet so the dust doesn't. The dust will just be like a sludge when you're working with it. But for our case, we're using alcohol to clean it, clean all the surfaces that you can reach, and then you see that it's bent like that. You want to see that it's able to come back to shape. Another tool that might be handy to have is a vise. I mean, if you don't have a vise, you can use like a stack of books or something and put it on top of it on a flat surface just to keep that flat. But what you're going to do is you're going to mix up epoxy, right? And how you do that, the best way I found is that I take a piece of cardboard or something, anything. It could be a business card. The little cards that Race Day Quad sends you are great for that. I don't think I have any of them right now, but I'm just gonna use, let's see what I got here. Sorry about that. Well, in this case, I'm just going to use a piece of paper. But with epoxy, you can read the instructions. It's usually 1-to-1. The stronger, more industrial epoxy is like, I think 5-to-1. But this, I'm pretty sure, is 1-to-1 that I've done, and it hardens pretty great. So you're going to put one tube or equal parts of both tubes basically. Or if you have the squirt tube, just make sure equal amount come out of the bottom of that squirt tube. So you put a little bit of the part A and a little bit of the part B. And they, some of them look identical, some of them are dyed, I guess, to make it easier. But you're gonna put, I put a dab there and then a dab right next to it. Not into, I mean, you could put it into each other if you want to. I just like to do it like this because it's not gonna set up until you mix it, until you're ready to work with it. So then I just seal my tubes. I find that it's better if you put this on a shelf. I mean, on a I put it in this little box, and it has a hook on it because I like to keep all my I don't know if I'm just anal or what, but I keep my tubes upright. Like any of my tube stuff, I got my Fix-All adhesive and my Loctite and everything. I think it's better to keep the tubes up because gravity is going to bring all that stuff down instead of coming out of the tube into your whatever. But yeah, that's just the way I store it. But okay, so we have our 2 parts of epoxy here. We're going to take something that we don't care about, like a wooden spoon or a wooden popsicle stick or a piece of plastic, anything you have basically, and we're going to mix up. It helps if it's flat too. That makes it a lot better. Of course I have nothing ready as usual, but I'm going to just grab something here. I have this little piece of a circuit board I'm going to use, and I'm going to use that to kind of rake it in. So what I'm doing, I don't know if you can see, I'm mixing the two together, right? Mix it, you can chop it, mix the two together. It'll kind of get like cloudy as you're mixing it. That's good. That lets you know that the chemical reaction is working there. But what you're going to do is mix that up good for a couple, I'd say like 10-20 seconds of mixing together, depending on how much you have, and then that stuff's ready to go, and it's going to just keep getting harder from this point on. It's going to start to set up, so you're going to want to use it as quick as possible. Some of the bottles tell you how long. It's usually like 5 minutes or something like that it takes. So what you're going to want to do is take your carbon fiber and kind of spread it open so it gapes that hole there, with a crack. It gapes the crack there. Yeah. So you take your epoxy, and I like it better when it's liquid, and I kind of just drip it in there. I don't know if you can see that. I'm scraping it from my paper and just kind of oozing it on into that crack, and then I actually take a little and I spread it on the sides of the part and just all around the part. And just, I mean, it's up to you to how clean you want to make it. You can make it nicer by flattening it with something. I'm just gonna try to do a rough kind of thing here to show you how it works. But yeah, you just scrape that epoxy and then dab it onto your part, and just get a good nice coating, about a millimeter or two thick on the flat parts, and just as much as you can in that crack. And then what you're going to do is take, I guess it would probably be best to take your piece of paper, and if you're going to use the books, and take like a piece of paper or a piece of cardboard and then put it in between the two, and then just so it's flat. I'm going to actually stick it in a vise, which I think is the best way to do it. So you take your vise, and then mine's all the way wide, so I'm going to wrench it on down. And what that vise is going to do is it's just going to keep that part flat. See, it's got all that epoxy in it and everything. It's going to keep that part flat while it dries, and then it will stay in that flat shape when it's finished drying. So you just crank that thing down so it'll make a nice flat part again. And you can even take your epoxy, a little bit of epoxy, and just kind of go over it again and make sure you got it while it's still in a liquid state, because it's going to start drying here soon, and you want to just saturate that carbon fiber. And yeah, it will basically, if any gets on the sides, it's okay. It'll basically be like a mold, and when you pull that vise apart, it'll just kind of conform to the shape of the vise. We're gonna let that part dry, and we'll come back to it in a second. I'm just gonna, I guess, end the video here, and then we'll start another part, because I am scared. But yeah, that's basically how you do it. It's gonna dry here, and then you'll have a part that you can use just to kind of get you through until you can order an actual part, because I mean, there's no, it's not gonna last forever, but it's gonna get you flying again and get you going. And yeah, it's a nice way to, it's probably the best way to fix carbon fiber parts, and kind of splice them back together. It's almost like cracking bones or something. It's just, it's very rigid material, and you kind of just gotta get it back into place and get it glued back together, get those layers I guess laminated again with some epoxy, and yeah, it should get you going again. Thanks for watching.